Hello my friends, how are you all doing? I hope you're all doing very well, and I can see some of you in the chat room already having a wee discussion, and I asked if anybody would like to see anything, and well, K-Doc suggested Polkadot, so I thought let's start off the day's show looking at Polkadot, then we'll fly over to the usual ones after I run the intros, but he just wanted it to be a quick one, and I thought, well, hey, look here, fairly quickly, just to say, as long as we stay above $15.85 in terms of a daily closing candle basis, then we're looking pretty good for upside targets, three of which, you know, come in if you're just looking at you know, the sort of the near term upside targets. We're talking $21.20 up as high as perhaps $23 there, and then perhaps even on up high as $36 in terms of the long term. If we do see a pullback though, starting here by, you know, managing risk getting around about that $15.85 area, you could be looking down to the $9.66 price point for a potential turnaround, even as low as $9 there, should things want to carry on. But that's of course getting ahead of ourselves, and simply put, so long as the prices stay above those levels, that's pretty good. And the meantime, if you are looking beyond the 15.8 for a good entry price perhaps, then the structural support comes in there at 13.32 or so, where we had our last little inflection in the markets. And let's run the intros, and I'll see you in the Bitcoin charts in just a second. Hello, and here we are, Bitcoin USD. Hope you're all doing very well. This is your friend Rocky Outcrop, and I hope you are trading well. Nice to see you here, Blockbake Studios. Good to have you, my friends. These guys are good guys, by the way, everybody. Just so you know, that's nice to have you here in the show. They help set me up with my ENS address, if I'm right. I hope I've got your YouTube handle correct there. Gank L, good to see you there. John, good to see you. K-Dot, good to see you. TraceSpotting, it's great to have you here as ever. And Navanethan as well. That's great, and everybody is happy there. K-Dot, don't fall for it, mate. Nav has a thing for coming second, says Michael John Scott. Well, I don't know where you're getting your information from. I've not seen that discussed in the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, then you're more than welcome to. You'll find links to all of that and donation links and all that good stuff in the description down below. And yes, indeed, says Blockbake Studios, that's right as well. If you want to donate any sort of ERC20 tokens, you can do that via rocky.outcrop.eth. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I think so. Thanks to those guys for helping me with that. So anyhow, this is the Bitcoin chart here, and I've actually gone ahead and put a few little drawings on for us, in fact, so that we can see what the chat is without me having to necessarily explain too much in too great detail across the board for the four coins. And then we can do a bit of more of a deeper dive and discuss things amongst each other. Good to have you here. Who let the bulls out? Nice, the bulls are loose, he says. So we've got a what's going on there, Coco? Coco's sneezing. Yeah, so so we've got this set up, and we're going to look at the same sort of, in the same sort of a way, we'll take a look at the Chainlink, Ethereum and Tezos pricing in the next sort of 5 minutes really. But first off, we have for murder. Are we looking at some sort of for murder question mark pattern coming in here with this one? Well, the questions really do come down to how we're going to operate in or around about this general area as defined by the median line of the Bollinger, of the, not the Bollinger Band, but it would be similar in the Bollinger Band. In fact, since I said it, let's bring up the Bollinger Band of the Donchian channels there. But as you can see, similar sort of dealio with regards to the Bollinger Band there. Are we going to make it back up to this area, or are we looking at, of course, breaking down the way further? If we break down the way, then we could be happily expecting to see prices perhaps even in the range of $20 $40,000. Have to speak a bit quieter there. Going back all the way down to where we saw this diamond pattern not play out towards the downside when it actually did indeed play out towards the top side there on this one. Key areas of support and resistance in the meantime here on the daily time frame are coming in at where we had our previous high up there at 42,237 buckaroonies. That median line that we're talking about, which we've come up almost near to today and around about 35k, can we retake that zone and recapture it? And that of course takes you past the inflection of this Adam and Eve style top that you had perhaps there, the ascending triangle, the descending triangle in the recent past. Of course our previous lows are obviously going to be important for us, and we can see that here represented by the Donchian channel coming in there at 28,800 or so. But we also have these key areas of support that we encountered along the way up if we were to break down. Now of course if that all pings sort of hinges around the key area over here. So if we move this red exclamation mark, you can see that lines up with this blue line now in there at 27,500. Of course that's what we need to be aware of. If the prices do manage to go towards the top side, then the green exclamation mark comes in there at our previous all-time high. What could we be looking at in terms of upside targets? Now from just using that Fibonacci tool before, you will see here when I was talking at the intro to the show about DOT that I've taken off all of the numbers between the 0 and 1 points in order to just look towards higher targets here and keep things nice and simple. And those higher targets come in at 49,000, or well, one of them is I suppose 45,940. So we're talking here about 46k, and it goes along those lines, 46, 47.8, you know, so sort of 47 to 48,000, and then 50,000 thereafter being the key areas to look to for upside travel, you know, in the shorter term. If you're looking beyond that to even bigger targets beyond, where could Bitcoin price go in the next 6 months? If things were to be incredibly bullish, then what would you potentially be looking at? And you could be talking about 64,271, 77,889, and 86,305. Are those prices correct to the exact penny? Not necessarily, because you know I've got this kind of faded so you can't see exactly where I've drawn it in at, and that hinders me myself as well. But there you go, 85k being that top target for the meantime in terms of the next big look at the charts. And I just wanted to keep it nice and simple there and not get too carried away with the complex technical analysis in today's show, because well, we really do cover that in extreme detail so often that sometimes the big picture and the more simple approach gets kind of overlooked, shall we say. And let's I'll concede that, I suppose, and let's kind of do that today on this fabulous, marvelous Monday, so that we can make it sort of more complex throughout the week. I've done this a few times in the past, by the way, if you're just joining us for the first time today. Sorry about that. Clearly got something itchy on the old eyeballs there. So yeah, if you're just joining us for today for the first time, then that's great. Normally it's fairly in-depth technical analysis, very detailed, and it tells you absolutely everything that you could know, and as such, you know, you kind of are always best placed to be able to react and adapt with on your, you know, nimble for recent changes in the market. But this is kind of taking a broader perspective on this fabulous Monday, and we can of course look at things in a bit more detail if anybody really so desires. So just make sure you get your comments in there, and let's continue to go through the charts. Well, I suppose I could summarize this so that I can make it into one of those standalone videos. Let's just do that really quick. Okay, so that's cool. And in fact, before I do that, let me see if I've said hi to everybody. We've got K King in here as well. Kevin, good to have you as well, my friend. Nice to see you here. And yeah, that's me checked in with everybody that said hi in the chat. So hi, I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is the Bitcoin chart that I'm looking at in terms of where the prices could go this year, or even in the next 6 months if we see a big run up in prices. What am I looking at here? Well, I've drawn in a Fibonacci retracement between the highs that we had up there at the 42,000 area and the recent lows that we had just the other day. And if we take those extension points and look towards the top side at targets past our recent all-time high, they come in around about 40 45,500 going up towards the 50,000 area, with a key look at 47 to 48,000 along the way with regards to the 1.414 Fibonacci retracement as the cat ran up the stairs and distracted me. Looking beyond that, then the next target comes in at around about 63,000, 64,000, and that is going to of course be a huge run in the prices. I would expect to see some pullback along the way, of course, if it were to go up as high as that. But then looking beyond those price targets, where could things go if things went kind of crazy? And going as high as the 4.236, we could be looking up to 85k. But it's not all rainbows and unicorns. We need to have a few things happen first. For instance, we need to see the prices really capture this 35,500 area on a daily closing basis and start to look towards taking out our previous highs along the way, so we can break that market structure. Looking towards the downside, we don't want to be taking out this area of our previous wick, and there's a few reasons for that. Namely, there's a few Fibonacci retracement points and various other factors to be considered in that area. And as well, looking towards the left, we know that the 27,500 area is key for the prices should we see them closing down there. That's why there's a red exclamation mark in there. So overall, is the current shape on the charts. Will we see the prices going up the way? Somebody in the end of this could be getting murdered. Be careful with your trading out there and be aware of various different other ideas. There's always a million and one. If you want more detail, tune into episodes of the show that we do live all the time. There's various reasons at any given point that you could look towards certain targets on the charts, bringing us up towards this 1618 or the 1272, for instance, with patterns, etc. Be sure to tune in for the live episodes. Catch you there. How do you think that went? Was that pretty good? That's what we use as an episode. By the way, of course, I'm not going anywhere right now. What we do in the show, folks, is we make live TA more engaging. Hi, Zoner. Nice to have you here. And one of the ways that we do that is by making it accessible to everybody, and then, of course, intelligible and understandable. And then, as well, I demonstrate to you what the live, and give you the opportunity to talk about what we're talking about, so that when it comes to me publishing these videos separately, then you get to audit them live and ask questions and see if there's anything of note to be aware of. So let's do the same sort of thing here with regards to Ethereum. Okay, so don't go anywhere. I will be introducing myself. I have to say, hit like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff too as we do it. Let's take a look at Ethereum. So my name's Rocky Outcrop. This is Ethereum technical analysis. I hope you're doing really well out there and you choose to hit the like and subscribe button. I'm actually filming a live video at the moment, and kindly and patiently the audience waits there for the technical analysis. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Ethereum chart together. There's two key interesting things that we're seeing here at the moment. We've got these higher highs, and of course we have these higher lows, and that's really positive for the price action, with the prices going up towards the recent high that we've had. In fact, with just today's price action coming up and putting in yet another all-time high. Not quite taking out the $1,500 area yet, but certainly getting very close to that and pushing the Donchian channels again further towards the top side, and likewise with Bollinger Bands, etc. Nice trace towards the top. However, there are some things to be aware of, namely here the 236 Fibonacci retracement point, which is this green line just there on the charts, and that is coming in at $1,200 or so. If we break below that, then things can of course get fairly sketchy. Now, bear in mind this has been a good solid trend towards the top side, and at times along the way we have in fact come down and broken down below that 236, but never to the extent where we've had much follow through along the way. So in this regard, when I'm talking about going down below it, I really do mean that we want to see consecutive candles coming on and on down below and taking out key structural areas, so that one of these two things can stop. Well, either we get more of the same with higher highs and higher lows, or eventually we don't see that happening. Will we not see a higher high or a higher low? Well, so far we've had higher highs, and that brings me on to my next point. What could it look like if we see the prices break down. Do you like what I did there? I hope you enjoyed that one as I scrolled it on. Have we got a wedge? That's the question here with regards to this price action. And as we can see, we are getting in higher highs, but we're not pushing up to the point where we're really maxing out any moves that we could be going for. And that could be something that we have in store for us. Looking at the lower side too, though, we do need to acknowledge that, of course, if prices do break down below this 236 and then this 382 point thereafter, we could be looking down towards the 50% and of course the 618, and those numbers are both sub 1,000, talking $900 and $760 on this one. A quick measured move off of this shows us that the prices, if they were to do the full retracement, we're coming in at around about the 50% area, coming down below that $1,000, offering up an excellent rebuy opportunity should the overall macro trend continue, which of course on this one has been towards the top side. How will this play out in the long run? Well, of course, we'll be right there to see how it happens, so be sure to, like I say, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you don't miss out on these episodes. I'm going to go back to the live chat here and see if there's anything that anybody wants me to be saying. Be sure you tune in yourself and you can ask questions and all the rest of it, and I'll see you there. Cool. Okay, so nice to have you here, 3000 Trin. What do you think of that one? Was that good? Are you enjoying the stream? Let me know. Of course, these will be the videos that go out. I'm going to chop them up and stick them out there just after we finish up what we're doing here, and that's cool. What did you think of that? Was that good enough? I want to try and keep things nice and accessible today on Monday, not get too bogged down. You can see I'm not using any of the oscillators or anything else, just talking about what we could be looking at from a nice broad perspective here, and you know, keeping it all real. Of course, if you want me to take a look at anything particular, just fire away there in the chat and let me know, and I'll just see what's going on there. 3000 Trin says, what's up? Yeah, what's up, man? No, yeah, cool. Ethereum weekly RSI a bit concerning. Well, we can take a look at that. This is a live show after all, I suppose, so we're taking a look at that at some point. We can run back through the coins again, I suppose, right, after I've done them all. So I'm going to just, you know, keep on with the format so far, but I'm good. It's good to see that some people are not asking for more detail right now, so that's good. I'm not actually, you know, at a failure point where anybody's saying that it's not enough, you know, so that's good to have, and always building that rapport with the audience, of course. So, you know, getting to know our boundaries. Whenever sometimes I've done too much TA, nobody says that's too much detail really necessarily during the live chat, but you could be saying that too at times. I hope I'm getting a nice happy medium here for this wonderful Monday. Nice to see you here, by the way, Patrick Pellegrino. We are at Equilibrium viewers, the die-hard outcroppers. Wow, that is fantastic. I don't really know if that's a good thing right now necessarily or not. Video Consoles asking to take a look at Kava. Well, that's a good choice. Maybe we'll take a look at that as well as part of the sort of post-show area. I'm going to fire back on with the charts now, actually, and just see how things are going. Bear in mind that you'll be free to remind me, Zoner, if I forget to take a look at the RSI, for instance, on the weekly on Ethereum, like you were just saying there. Right, cool, nice one. Howdy, Video Console, by the way, good to see you. I hope you are a subscriber. If you haven't hit that button yet, well then, it's a big red one there. It's a big red one, hard to miss it. Hope you're all doing very well. And let's just see now, when I drew these things in earlier on, by the way, it was mostly just kind of trying to think, well, how am I going to keep things nice and simple here? And I've not really done the TA. I've not done it yet. I've just put up, you know, the first things that really occurred to me on the charts, as you saw there with the Ethereum technical analysis. Really, I just looked and said higher highs, higher lows, drew that in, and then said, is there maybe a wedge? And I thought to myself, I'll take a look at that during the show. Shall we give this another run through now and see how this goes? As you can see, by the way, with the Chainlink chart, all I've really done is put on the gloating sort of targets keep getting hit exclamation mark. I was just happy to see it, you know, and then let's just maybe do the actual TA just now. But I think this is a fair enough place to start from. is this going to be the next target, you know, in here at 30 bucks or so? Could that be the next target for Chainlink if everything keeps on getting hit here? We know from having talked about this before that $27, $28 in, you know, the high 27s, 28 area was one of our Fibonacci extension points that we're looking to in terms of targets. Maybe we should draw a new one in again, or another one in, or whatever, from our high up here, or unhide it. Well, I'll just draw a new one in from our high there to our low there, and see how we've been getting along so far with all of these targets, and what else we could look at during this one. But we'll see how it goes with this. I also want to try and keep it nice and simple for all of the casual viewers out there that are tuning in on this fantastic Monday. You know, so that these live clips go okay. So let's try and do it again. Yeah, I maybe should have a drink of water or whatever, but we'll just go with it anyway. Hi friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. What we do on the show here is take a look at technical analysis for cryptocurrencies live, and in fact I'm doing a live stream right now, and I'm interrupting it to do the technical analysis clip for today. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope you hit that like and subscribe button and come back for some more. Join us during a live stream sometime and give me that interactive feedback that you might want to get when looking at charts. This is of course Chainlink, and I thought maybe what we could do here is take a look at some higher up targets since the prices have been going towards the top side in such a lovely strong move so far. And one way of doing that sort of speculative analysis is to use Fibonacci retracement. So how about I use the Fibonacci tool here. I'll just select it on the menu so you can see where to find it on your trading view there. And how about we draw this one in from the high that we had previously on the 16th of August, going down towards the low that we had. Where was that? In there on the 21st of September. Is that right? Yes, it is. And how did the price action line up with that with regards to our recent movements, and how are we looking for our target towards the top side? Could it possibly be 30 bucks? Well, I'm going to have to move all that chat off to the side here to give myself some space, and that bodes well for our next targets, which of course so far keep on getting hit. We've had these three, and let me just jump down towards a lower time frame to show you what we've been looking at with regards to the most recent targets here, and that of course is the it's a couple of Fibonacci points, 23 bucks and 25 bucks notably, and of course previous to that the key inflection point along the way towards the top side. So if I just remove these lines from the chart and take a look then at the area between our current high target of around about $27.78 and that $40 target thereafter. Is it reasonable to think that we could be going to $30? Well, it could be, and that could be a big area for, of course, retracements back down the way, and we will be covering that if there is a danger of that happening live on the show throughout the week and next week, and whenever that could come along here. Of course, first off, looking for the potential of that at the 1618, depending on whether or not we're able to consistently move towards the top side past this $25 area that we are currently challenging, and that is of course good to see. Now down again at $23, and we're staying above the 1272, and that's good to see so far. But there are a couple of key areas that we should maybe look at in a bit more detail here with regards to the recent movements from this low up towards the high that we had there, and of course where we could see the prices going if we were to continue past the 100% point on any moves down the way. And that comes in here asking questions of our structure in terms of the highs and lows. We don't want to be taking out this area at $12.50 or so if it can be avoided, and I think it can be avoided. Let's look at what we need to see be supported by, the prices be supported by in the meantime, so that we're not actually going down to those areas. And zooming in a bit more, having added those other numbers onto the Fibonacci retracement, we can see that there is a key area in here at $23 or so, where we have the median line of the Donchian channels lining up with the 236 Fibonacci retracement point. Now we are currently below that area, and that is not ideal, and we could then be looking towards the $22, $21.50 and $20.50 area for retracements from this point. Crucially, they wouldn't be taking out this low here, and it would still overall represent a higher low on a larger time frame if that were to be the case. As you can see here, as soon as I migrate up towards the 12-hour time frame, you're really looking down quite the way overall if you were to be just simply sitting in a higher low. So those are potential targets for us, and should the trend continue towards the top side, then things are good. In terms of will that trend continue towards the top side, I think it's probably important to look at something along the lines of the key areas on this chart right now for us. At $19 really is going to be a key inflection point towards the downside should we be coming in and testing that zone. If we actually get closures below it, then going down towards these targets that we already spoke of, such as 14, 13, and then down to the 11 and 1250 area, is of course absolutely on the cards, and I would look out for that at the time. And you can look out for that with us by hitting subscribe and like. At the meantime, of course, we're going to be keeping in mind our current target above us of $25 again, and of course $27 thereafter. Big moves to be had across the market there. Hit like if you like seeing 10% moves in your daily trading, and of course if you are a trader or just a hodler or investor, there's plenty to be had in the Rocky Outcrop community. If I could speak, hey, Rocky Outcrop community, join us for that. I'll see you in the live show. Coolly. So here we actually are in the live show, so don't get confused if you're tuning into this. What I was doing just there now was making an episode for publication just after we're finished here together, and at the end of them so far I've been asking, do we need any more detail? Now that's been a bit more detailed perhaps than the Ethereum and the Bitcoin one, but of course if you're looking for RSI and things like that, then of course let me know in the chat and I'll happily take a look at them. In the meantime, I want to give a wee shout out to Lulu Lee, is that right? Or I'm going to have to zoom in with the old head noggin. Lulu Edel. Hi from Luxembourg. Can you share with us your thoughts about Avi? It's my top gainer for the moment. Thanks. Well, great opportunity for me to, of course, plug the Rocky Outcrop channel, and we will take a look at Avi. But I just wonder if, of course, yourself, you've been onto YouTube and seen the episode that we put out the other day about Avi. Leave site changes may not be saved. Well, let me just save this to the cloud, as it likes to look like there on the chart, and then jump on over, because I want to ask, did you watch the episode that we put out there just 2 days ago with regards to Avi and what you thought of it? Let's take a look at it. Maybe you did, maybe you thought it was pretty good. The thumbnail said Avi going to blow up, and we were talking about this in here. As you can see from the comments down below, we were having a couple of laughs along the way with it hitting certain targets, you know, like we at 220 right now, for instance. Anon says there, if only I knew who was actually called, I could give him a shout out instead of it just being Anon, haha, and stuff like that. So we were talking about this as well, and of course 260 baby, and there's 3000 trin, bang bang bullish. Good to have all of you in there, by the way. I always appreciate everybody from these live things going in there and leaving comments on the clips as well. And we were talking about a couple of targets towards the top side, so we'll do a little bit of Avi perhaps in this episode as well. But my thoughts about Avi are expressed already just within the last couple of days here. That was on the 22nd of January that video was published, so it's not like they're not out there already for your viewing pleasure. Back to the charts here then, and we will be taking a look. Yes, you're welcome, thank you as well. Hi to so everybody can say hi there. 3 touches, 3 touches, 3 touches. Right, cool. So let's just continue on with the show there. Let me know, are you enjoying it? Best way to let me know if you're enjoying it is to hit that like button, of course, so be sure to do that if you haven't done it already. But then the second best way to do it is to say it in the chat there, and then I'll see it and give you a shout out and all that good stuff. So shall we take a look at XTZs to the USDs mofos just now then as well? I think we shall. Oh, look at all those oscillators down below. Are you liking the new color scheme? Let me know if you are. It's very vibrant, isn't it? I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Anyway, let me just go back to the old chart there, because we're going to keep things nice and simple, are we not, when we do this? I do have some things written on here as well, so let's just get that visible for everybody. Following structure like GPS, and I use that that logo thing for that. The reason I did that was because I had previously just done the link chart where I was just kind of at that stage getting a little bit like, you know, come on, get on with it. We need to get on with the show. We're going to be doing a live scene thing soon. We can figure it out there instead of this. And I didn't want to do the TA, you know, to write it on the chart. Instead, I just wanted to do that. And I noticed in the tools, in the options here, that there's tons of different ones that you could use. So I'm like, you know, looking forward to trying them out. For instance, up here, a plane, fantastic. So anyway, let's do this episode as well. I'm going to do it more or less the way that we did the Chainlink one just there now, and take a look at the price action together live, right? Cool. So let me just line it all up. Hi friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. I do live technical analysis. In fact, this is a live stream that I'm filming this during right now. But this is the clip that I'm making to talk about the XTZ Tezos price action at the moment. Thank you so much for joining me. Really do appreciate it. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and join us for a live show sometime so that you can enjoy looking at the charts together. Right now, up behind me, you can see the Tezos USD chart. That's the 24-hour chart, and we've been talking about the structure really that we've been the Tezos prices has been respecting quite a lot on the show recently, and it's following it very, very nicely, like a roadmap almost for us. We do have a breakout target. What is that breakout target from? I can hear you asking in the background. And where does it go up to where that airplane is sitting? Well, it goes all the way up as high as the 1618 Fibonacci retracement point, and that's coming in there at $6.27. Fan dabby dozy. That is a nice and lovely target to have for Tezos. A lot of work to do along the way, of course. And of course, where is this breaking out from? Because as you can see, the line here drawn in here comes all the way back down to this 618 golden pocket zone. That's actually the 6.5 line in there at the edge of that golden pocket for us. So you're not really breaking out from there. It's not from the Fibonacci perspective. Instead, I'm talking about this from this pitchfork in the background. Perhaps this at some point could get broken. Zooming on in the way, what do we have to look at then with regards to the recent price action and how it's been following our structure lovely jubbly for us, like the old GPS. Just take off this arrow as well. Hopefully we don't return back down quite as low as that. Where is our previous low coming in at? That's at that 244 area. We have been visiting area targets down below $3 in the recent past. On this 24-hour time frame, you can see that we've been down there at 296 recently. Of course, that was an area that we talked about on the way up here, and we are seeing that there is a degree of support for us in there, and that really makes us ask, you know, are we in this stage just here? And I'm not a man for fractals myself at all in any way, but I do want to discuss this notion right now as we look at that area there on the charts and say we did have a bit of a pull down before we went up a little bit higher again there before coming in for our actual low the last time around. And then what we've done here is we put in this most recent of lows in there on the charts. Could it be that we are looking here at this little bit of flux and we'll find support at this 296 area and continue towards the top side? Or will we see some more of a pullback before? Well, I think that we could answer that question roughly by taking a look at the pitchfork in the background and the Donchian channels here, for instance, that I have on there. That's what this sort of cloud that we've got around the charts is. And previous structure, etc., and draw some sort of conclusions from that. Well, we haven't currently necessarily got our local high in quite yet. It would be intriguing to see what the oscillators looked like down below. And be sure to join me for a live episode sometime, and hit like if you do enjoy this one, to take a look at that. We'll do that after I've filmed this clip, but it would be interesting to see what they look like. We don't really have this necessarily as our local high from this broad perspective quite yet. We've got a bit of more travel to probably do. As we can see, this upside candle here came across two bars here, and this downside movement was across the 3. Maybe it'd be more useful to look at this from the perspective of the 3-day time frame and say, well, you know, we haven't really gone down far enough for that to be a local high yet. Perhaps we're still on the way up, but we are really asking questions in at this zone. Can we push past the $3.20 mark, in fact, and $3.43 is as high as we've been today here, but can we actually push on past it and take out our wick from today's high and get some follow through and perhaps push towards the top side over the period of the next few days? Or will we see a pullback happening from around about these sorts of zones? If we did see a pullback happening, and we're remaining bullish on the market in general, where are we looking to see the prices stay above? Well, if they don't keep in it around about this area, and let's say that this area extends as far as 286 or so, if you're kind of going at a push, then you're looking down towards 273 in terms of will we get support at the median line of the Donchian channels. And looking back in the past, so far that's not really been the case. We have extended a bit beyond there. Maybe we'd be looking down towards other areas, but as we can see here, the next structural area that we're seeing in terms of the pitchfork comes below our previous low, and that of course would change the dynamic looking at the charts, and in terms of would this be therefore a high at that point, a top perhaps with more pullback, and then looking down there towards that 229 230 zone thereafter is your next sort of point of reference with regards to the wick on that candle. So that's an area that we really don't want to be testing at all very much, which is what kind of injects the hopium into this area. Well, so far we can say we don't really have that local high necessarily confirmed as yet. So in terms of the 4-hour time frame, I'm going too deep with this one. I'm already not going to be using this, I reckon, as the clip. I'll have to do a sort of summary of this one. I've already gone too, this is too much. It's gone too much. I'm trying to actually answer this, right, as you'll have noticed from when I do my technical analysis, I try to really answer the question at 42. Okay, I come back with the answer to what this really is, and it's hard to stick to looking at things in a really simplistic way that of course most people would probably be looking for, to be honest, just so they get a brief summary of what's going on with the charts. And I've gone way off board here, way too much. Let's just sort of let's kind of just take a wee quick look here at this. Oh yeah, it's interesting to see that divergence there on the no sure thing and the RSI, quite strong at that point overall. I wouldn't be necessarily super pleased about seeing the prices going down below the 236, which we no doubt have from, well, wherever our previous, whatever you want to draw it in from, just so we can satisfy my own curiosity. I want to do the TA. Sorry, it's important to me to do things properly for numerous reasons, of course. Yeah, so the 236 was actually in there at 315, naturally haven't had that high in there at 240, so we're already down below the 382, and we, it's realistic to be looking down towards the 50% area. That's previously where the Donchian channel was, in terms of this time frame, and it's where it is therefore on a larger one, bang there on the 12-hour. That's naturally what you would be looking for. Will this area in terms of the pitchfork at that 50% and this median line of the Donchian channel in this time frame actually offer that support, perhaps, at that stage, giving us a chance to boil off the RSI's sort of issues here that we've got, and maybe then lead to a breakout from this thing, because as you can see here, there's clearly sort of forming a consolidation triangle for us, and we have this hidden bullish divergence on the go during this previous low stretch here on the MACD, giving you that potential for a turnaround. So that's really what I'm looking to, okay, and loads more. Let's just try and do this one again. Let's just try and do this one again for the everybody market, right? For everybody, so everybody gets a little something from it, and so that then of course we can talk about those more complex things throughout the week as as the new cohort of Rocky Outcropticians join us. There's 2,000 members here of or whatever you want to call it, subscribers and all the rest of it. I've been watching now for the last year, and of course they understand a lot of things, but let's just keep it at a fully accessible level. That's what this Monday, Marvelous Monday, is for, and thanks very much for your patience with us here. Let's just do that just now. Hi friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. I'm just taking a moment aside from this live stream I'm doing to bring you some XTZ Tezos technical analysis. I'm going to make this a clip and publish it. Do join me sometime for a live stream. I really would appreciate it. I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the chat. Let's take a look at the Tezos chart together. This is the 12-hour time frame, and we can see so far that we're following the market structure like GPS. We've got some breakout targets if we do actually make it outside of the pitchfork area, and that involves pushing past the golden pocket of the larger Fibonacci retracement. If we can push past that area, then it's anyone's guess as to where the prices could be going, but my money would be on the 1618 Fibonacci retracement point up there at $6.27. There's a few things we need to see happen before that though. Let me just jump down towards, say, the 1 hour time frame to introduce this Fibonacci retracement that we have with regards to the recent movement from the lows we had down there at that 220s area up towards the high that we've just recently put in at 341. And what we're seeing here is that we're down below the 382. In fact, you know, we moved below the 236 and then the 382, but we haven't quite taken out the 50% level on this one. That would be maybe a target for me in terms of an entry on this if I was looking at this over the period of the next day or so, perhaps with regards to this price action. Given that if we look then at this level on the 12-hour time frame, we can see that it lines up perfectly with where we're seeing the Daunt chain channel coming in at, and that is of course giving us a good indicator as to the structure in the charts, and we're seeing that it is operating along the lines of following it like GPS so far. Couple of questions that really do need to be considered as well beyond that are, if we go beyond these zones of the sort of 285 area, then we could be looking down to where we had previous support and resistance coming in at here for us, and asking questions about market structure. And of course at that point you would be looking down to those sub 250 areas, then offering up one of those fantastic trading opportunities, just kind of recommended to people to try and manage risk accordingly and stay flexible within the markets. On a final sort of point from that, I would like to say, of course, I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice. If you're liking what you're seeing here, then do give it a thumbs up. A like on the show really does help. But if I was looking at that 50% area, I would be wanting to manage my risk in it around about a sort of 5-to-1 basis, hopefully being able to go beyond the golden pocket if it did come down there and I was hanging on to a trade on a sort of swing basis from that, looking towards where the other highs have been at recently and saying, well, I'd maybe give myself 3 profit taking targets along the way if I was actually trading this towards the top side, and they would come in at 3 distinct levels. And let me just draw this up towards the ultimate target towards the top side there, over there, and say, well, if you're looking at a 5-to-1 risk to reward here, then if you go for the full move, you're actually talking about a 17-to-1 risk to reward. So that's excessive. You know, really you'd have to be looking more towards your managing your risk in it around about that level there where we had our last significant low to capture that full move. But of course, in terms of the small term perspective on this, you know, I'd be looking at that as the sort of take profit 3, your toilet paper 3. Down here at toilet paper number 2 would be the $4.40 area, 444 I'd probably say, because I like the round number, and then the other area before then it comes in at 345 yet again, where we had a previous high at, all of which offering up fantastic risk to reward if you're managing your risk on a short-term basis with this move here coming up. That's just an idea, it's just a trading idea. We discuss all these things and more, of course, in various different formats, such as the Discord. You're welcome to join, links in the description down below, and during the live streams. Every Monday there is a live chat in the Discord, which you're welcome to join as well, and there's plenty of other ways you can get in touch with me, for instance on Twitter, rocky_outcrop. I'll see you there if you want to join me for that, and that would be fantastic stuff. Great, cool. Going back to the live video. Okay, so is that better? What did you think of that one? I think that was pretty good as well. Even threw in a bit of the old thing, you know, took advantage. I mean, we did the TA kind of beforehand, so why not just up it a level and do something like that? Now, of course, have I done my due diligence on that move? No, I've not. I've not done my due diligence on that move necessarily. But there's probably more substantiating what we're talking about here than you would get maybe elsewhere, for instance. I don't know. And there's the opportunity to talk live then as well with us, so don't miss that. You can chat there in the text box. Now it's above my head, but I've got it just here, so that's what I'm reading just now. Easy enough with the webhooks and that. Obviously you're talking about different stuff in the chat there. I've been telling him to link up the lights to the donation thing for a while. Yes, I should have the lights on the donation thing so that when you donate it comes up and says, and has lights in the background. You can then interact with it. Yeah, I should have that. I should have that, shouldn't I? Well, sorry. So yeah, Tradespawn, can we get Rocky a shock collar, and each time he goes to in depth you can shock him out of it? Yeah. Look, I'm going to go more in depth throughout the week, probably, right? You know, but I think. Wait, what level was? It's hard for me to have objectiveness about this. To my objectivity when it comes to making an assessment of how complicated my TA is from a layperson's perspective, or from a just been trading for 6 months, just been trading for 1 year, etc. perspective. It is, you know, it's difficult to make that assessment, especially when I'm talking live. And I'm interested in this for myself. But I do try to make things really quite accessible. The going in depth thing is, yeah, okay, I don't need to go so in depth on camera, I suppose. Anyway, we're trying something new here, aren't we? After all, everything's going along swimmingly so far. So I'm pretty sure he cut the wires to his doorbell about 10 years ago. Yes, that's right, I did, in fact. But I mean, I've got it hooked up with it on its own loop on the yeah, that's right. Anyway, why are you talking about that? What do you think? You like the scroll ticker? I'm seeing that. It's good to see you saying that. Loving the scrolling ticker at the bottom of the screen. That's good. You got your coins on there. You got your like. Why is it not? Is it not scrolling at the minute though? Oh, it is scrolling. It is scrolling. Everything's scrolling along, like gathering no moss, like a scrolling stone. Yeah, I agree, John. I like the scroll ticker too, says KDoc. That's quality. Less invasive, you can get control of smart lights and flick. Yeah, yes, exactly, the smart lights chat. So let's jump on over to the things that were actually requested there by the people who got in early on the request and stuff before we talked about too much. Nice to see you, Wiction Phil. Good to have you here. I see you said hi. I missed that at the time. Does anybody remember? Somebody said something and I said, yeah, sure, we could take a look at that. But I'm not sure what it was. It was a name I don't think I recognized. So I could go down and see that. Maybe. Coming up. Not sure. Kava. It was Kava, yeah. We're going to take a look at Kava. We're going to take a look at Kava. Yeah, actually, I see as well in there K-King talking about Rarible and Sandbox. Directing this question towards Nav and Ethan. See, that's cool. Community in action for you there. It's interesting. All those coins are interesting. Sandbox, I mean, I looked at the game and I thought, that's kind of fun, but will it be, will it not be? I don't know. There's plenty of those sorts of things around. It's interesting the way that Binance bought up so much of it. So there's a degree of interest there. We're going to take a look at Avi and we're going to take a look at Kava. By the way, we have also taken a look briefly at DOT during this episode. If you're interested about that, it's actually at the very start of the show. Very start of the show when I'm introducing it before I've even run the intro screen, by the way. So Kava, do I have it on my list here? I'm pretty sure I've got it somewhere in here. Here's Kava USD for us. I can give this a wee color or something so I can see it in future easier. Potentially, probably not. And we have some curious stuff on the go. For instance, one of them is that we broke past this green line, this 236. This is what I was thinking was curious. It was certainly tickling my curiosity. If I just stick this on the 24-hour time frame, so it's questionably easier to see. We've come a long way since our highs. This high was in August, of course, last year, when the altcoin markets, lots of them put in their highs. Like we had Links having highs and stuff in there. We had Ethereum having highs in there. We had as well then Bitcoin as well leading the market having highs in there. So we had all of that up there. Then the prices came down and we've drawn in a Fibonacci retracement point from there and to the most lowest of lows. Doesn't actually line up perfectly. Now maybe it does. And so far we have managed to go above the 236. Fantastic. This represents, in terms of the movement so far in this coin, a movement of 90% or so towards the top side just to take out that 236. So it's a very strong position to be in, and we are getting a degree of follow through so far, so that's cool. Maybe we'll see a pullback with regards to this. Actually, do I have this set up so that it's on parabolic fib levels on parabolic level scale? I want to just see how this looks in terms of the so I interrupted myself. This isn't the one I'm going to make for if I want to do this as a I should do this as a standalone video, I suppose, since we're here looking at it. So I will, I guess, but this is the TA for now. Yeah, so we've come up towards this 50% area in terms of the Fibonacci's on the parabolic scale. This is in terms of using the essentially visually, if you were to draw it in terms of what the visual difference is, the how long's a piece of string method, and we've come up above the 50% and then been rejected by it so far, and that sees us in terms of the not log scale, the linear scale, come off this, in terms of the linear scale being above the 236, and that's the sort of the dynamic that we're looking at with regards to this one right now. We're moving towards the top side and everything's hunky-dory so far. We're getting enough upward action that, you know, things are very good and like a kind of like a channel. There is the potential for us with regards to these higher lows and the higher highs of having a wedge on the go, and that's not a surprise given the movements we've seen recently. Now, where this would take you down to, by the looks of it, obviously would be down towards the lower end of the Donchian channel here in terms of the daily time frame. You might be wondering why I'm looking at Donchian channels so much these days. If it's perhaps because you've not been watching the channel since when I started out. Hazy Corley just subscribed. That's quality. Thank you so much. Good to have you as part of the family. So you might be, it just may be that you've not seen it from the start. I change up my indicators from time to time anyway, and Jamie TradeSpotting did a video about the Donchian channels. I thought, yeah, let's put that on there. It's a good one to talk about, and if you've not seen that video, be sure to check out TradeSpotting's channel. Feel free to share a link for your channel, by the way, with us if you like, the old in the old chit chat TradeSpotting. And yeah, so this would be your target towards the downside. Now, of course, I kind of doctored it slightly as I was putting that on there. You might have noticed, okay, you know, hands up, I doctored it slightly, but that's cool. You're allowed to do that. This is a quick sort of message to the people who are just joining us for the first time, for instance, here at the minute. You know, when you're looking at the charts, you've probably been inclined to try and do things with a degree of perfectionism. In fact, what you'll find is that perfection is very, very hard to achieve, and that your job is as a trader is to really look at the sort of risk to reward and the risk of aiming for perfection past the point of, you know, very, very, very good, where, you know, you've achieved the vast majority of that reward. It gets much greater. How about instead you just aim to be very, very good instead of aiming to be perfect? And that goes as far as not allowing yourself to indulge in perfectionism when it comes to drawing diagonal lines on charts. This is a quick tip for people, and therefore, you know, this here just makes sense. And the reason this makes sense isn't because I've doctored this to line up with anything. It's because when you draw in diagonal lines, you're drawing it in from previous areas of support and resistance. Just hiding off all the drawings here, just drawing it in from previous areas of support, you know, or resistance, or inflection in the market, or whatever you want to call it, low, right? Your previous lows and your previous highs, and then naturally that lends itself towards being analogous to just simply talking about market structure whenever you're talking about the likelihood of a move past any of these areas. Where is it likely to go to? Well, it's where it's likely to go to is essentially to retest former areas of support and resistance. Okay, so that's how this ties together, and that's maybe kind of overlooked if you're just new to the world of charting and how all these things operate together. And it's a really important thing to have. Now, you shouldn't focus too much energy on that subject, but it's an important thing to be aware of in terms of looking to the next year or two with regards to your development as a trader, and being able to kind of piece things together and see the underlying basis for everything, because at the end of the day, essentially everything is just another way of describing this on the charts. Now, of course, you do have the volume as well at any given time, and then you have various indicators which are an interaction between these 2 points as well, etc, 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 that you can look at for other ideas, such as the VPVR, as you can see here, blah 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 blah. But everything's just an analog of what we're seeing on the prices, right? One way or another, whether that's a pattern, whether that's some diagonal line, support and resistance, or indeed the indicators that we tend to use. And if you are, again, new to the channel, don't be overwhelmed with what you're seeing there. This is the sort of thing that I explain in great detail frequently, all the time, so you'll always be comfortable looking at this stuff, right? And when it does come round to looking at this throughout the week, for instance, then you'll already have a good understanding of what it is, then a better understanding. Then in the next few weeks, as you watch the channel, you'll just know what these things are, and it'll all come naturally to you, second nature, etc, etc. Anyway, so with this all in mind, how about we do a quick analysis for a takeaway sort of video with Kava. So hi everybody, my name's Rocky Outcrop. This is a live video that I'm filming right now, but I'm taking a moment to make a video for Kava. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. This is the Kava chart that I have beside me right now, and what I'm looking at is this wedge and asking if we see a breakout towards the downside, where would that come in at? And it comes in at around about previous areas of support and resistance we've seen on the charts in the past, as you would expect. This of course is a rising wedge, and it does have a preponderance, a likelihood to break towards the downside, but there's a couple other things which actually go hand in hand with that if we were to see a move towards the downside, and one of which is this green line here, horizontal green line, which is the 236 Fibonacci retracement point in here. Which Fibonacci retracement are you talking about here? Well, we're talking about the all-time highs down to the most recent low, all-time recent low, okay, the local low there. And what we're seeing is that on that Fibonacci retracement, the 236 comes in at this point here at the price of $2.20, just to kind of round that off for you, and that is around about where the bottom end of this wedge would be. So if we come down here and touch this again and then push on down past it, then of course we could be looking down to a target, and that comes in around about $1.30. So big move down the way. Actually it's more like 150, let's call it. However, right now we're on to the good part, because if we actually do break this towards the top side, which is actually, you know, fairly likely really overall, of course I'm not a financial advisor and none of this is financial advice, then you're looking up as high as this 50% Fibonacci retracement point on the charts over here, and that is of course where Dow would have liked to have seen the prices going in terms of Dow theory, and that is up there at $3.40-ish. Let's call it $3.33 just for argument's sake, and that's the current areas that I'm looking to at the minute. The basis that I'm making that proposition off of is staying above the 236 on a broad term Fibonacci retracement. So I'm looking at the broad term picture and the most recent structure in terms of the market, putting a pattern around it to make it easier to describe, and then looking at the possible measured moves off the back of that, really with regards as well to Fibonacci retracement. There are a couple other things that I would throw out there in terms of a word to the wise, and that would be if we look at this on the log scale, and I just hit the auto button here, we can see that we've actually come up and recently just tested that 50% Fibonacci retracement. This is of course the same Fibonacci retracement, and it's simply set with the option down here for using the log scale when I'm on the log scale to draw this in, and that actually shows us that having gone past the 236 there at that 165 price point, having pulled back down from here in the meantime. But if we line this up with a breakout for it, where does it put us in there? At the 618 golden pocket, and of course that is all tying together the story for us. I think we know exactly where we stand with regards to Kava. If you want to manage your risk around these areas, it's probably fairly easy to do so if you look towards key support and resistance, and of course, you know, that's, for example, thinking along, not like that, that's awful in terms of support and resistance, you know, but well, I mean, it was the logarithmic chart, so it wasn't so bad, you know, it wasn't so bad, but you know, thinking more along these sorts of lines, because of course if we look towards our previous low there, down there at 190, that would be our fake out zone for this pattern. If we were to of course be pushing on past that, then perhaps we're going for the full measured move down the way. Thanks so much for tuning in, and now we have a donation. Just as I say, cheerio. If you want to join me someday for a live show, I'd really appreciate it. Let's take a look at what Michael John Scott has just suggested, and I'll see you at some point in one of the live streams. That was a little bit meta, wasn't it, for a second there, that one. Cheers for that, John. What, I'm actually going to have to bring up the thing and read that there. What did you say? I'm liking waves above the 200 moving average. Can you give it a touch of your TA magic? Will waves get me surfing in Bali? Cheers. Quality comment, John. Thank you so much for that, and I really do appreciate the super chat, by the way. Let's move on from Kava and take a look at waves. Now, whoever it was, video console earlier on that was asking for Kava, I hope you enjoyed that one and it's enough to make you consider hitting that subscribe button, etc, etc. Good to have other people here as well that I haven't seen it for a while, such as Johnny there, Ethereum going back to $1,200, and Anna. Lovely to see you, Anna. It's lovely to see you here. Cheshk, it's good to have you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Hi, love today's episode. Thank you so much for that, Anna. Another really good friend of mine. from real life. Fantastic. Good to have you. Thank you so much. Say hello to your wonderful husband for me. So great, nice one. Let's jump on over to my suggested coin, waves. Waves. It's giving me good vibrations. Right, so obviously we're coming in for highs here. Just stick on the weekly time frame so you can see, you know, we've done all-time highs after all-time highs so far with this one. That's fantastic to see. Is there an older chart that I'm missing which maybe has history that goes back beyond January 2019? I suppose it doesn't really matter. A couple of years is good enough, certainly more than good enough in terms of crypto land mostly. This is of course the linear chart, just showing you how extreme the move has been recently. Stick it on logarithmic, then it's less extreme to look at. Maybe that makes it a little bit easier to digest any information in terms of continued moves towards the top side, because again, you know, with the linear chart, when you're looking at continued moves towards the top side, it's very difficult to not think that this somehow represents a similar proportional move as a move up above, when the logarithmic chart makes that very clear to see that the proportional moves that we've had, for instance the candle on the 30th of November there compared to previous ones, was a very small. Take it off log, find the 30th of November, there it is there, and you can see this candle here which looks, you know, like similar, bigger than the vast majority of these candles, you know, and then suddenly it's one of the smallest candles on the chart again, right? You see the difference here. And what I'm really doing when I describe that, of course, is describing parabolic trends, you know. And when you break down below a parabolic move towards the top side, you might have seen people use that sort of curvy parabolic tool before. It really doesn't really matter in terms of breaking parabolic trends, or, you know, like the that's going to obviously be very subjective in terms of how you draw that in. But it just, you know, just in terms of you know, if you break this general idea here going towards the downside, where could it come in as low as? And you could be looking down at 80% reductions in the chart price. Was this wick erroneous somehow? Let me just jump to the 2-day. Still just a massive wick. The 24-hour, let me just check. Just a massive wick again. And it's off the back of that. Was this just, there was a massive doji candle as well. In terms of looking at this, now, you know, I tend to like to draw things in wick to wick, right, in terms of Fibonacci's. Then, and I apologize for saying M so much, by the way, during this episode. This part of the episode, I'm trying to think for you here, by the way, instead of, you know, just spraffing out any nonsense comes to mind. But it's important to note here that I wouldn't use this wick over here, and I could use this wick that's here though instead if I wanted to, because that is the last significant low before we move towards the top side, as opposed to using these bodies here. And that does make a lot of sense to me, and I would be coming in then for going up towards that top point, and then saying that obviously we've challenged the 236. So you can see that in advance without having actually drawn this in. So obviously that's happened, but, you know, we're doing okay. So that's the situation as it stands. If we were to move down past this area here, the 236, that's yet another way of kind of describing that same concept of breaking that parabolic trend that we've had towards the top side overall. And that also lines up perfectly with what is this here, but only our previous high. So that of course has implications for structure in the market as well. So then movements down here then suddenly start to become quite shockingly scary, and that's kind of just the 382, the soft one of the Fibonacci points. You know, the 236 has far greater interaction with price action, generally speaking, and the 50% and the 618, generally speaking, more important areas than the 382. There is an inflection in the prices here. We do see that the VPVR kicks in at around about that area again, so that you'd be looking for that to operate as support. If it didn't, however, then of course you're looking at a bigger retrace at that point, and that would take you down towards the 150s area, and that would be of course an unfortunate area for the prices to go to. We don't want to see that happen, and of course we're not in the realm of really discussing that as being an actual thing until such times as we've moved down past this point here. So I'm going to be able to leave this on the waves chart, and we can talk about this again in the future sometime and see how we're really responding with regards to it. This could go a couple of different ways. Had we been talking about it over here, that for instance, then we would have had that same discussion. What would it look like? Well, I'd have been proven to have been wrong and had to eat humble pie with regards to the 382 Fibonacci retracement point there. Happy to say it. I would happily have eaten that humble pie, as we could see this little inverted head and shoulders coming in there, so to speak, and moving us towards the top side, and then of course taking out the 236 as a result of that, then moving on up the way as well subsequently. So you know, that same sort of thing over here, we didn't actually break the 236 at that previous sort of high, so the 382 obviously is important. So we could then of course bear in mind that if we do see any sorts of potential lows, are we looking at market structure or patterns playing a role in that discussion? Of course, then if we do continue towards the top side, we can continue to speculate off the back of this, just as a sort of, you know, for when we come back to look at this again in the future. But how are we doing? Obviously we're above the key areas that we would need to be above, and when I put on the moving averages here to take a look at them, then it's going to be of no surprise to see that that there's a golden cross happened here in the past quite a while ago, and that we're above the 200 period moving average here on the daily time frame. What was it that you said above it? I'm liking the waves above 200 moving average, and indeed here we are above the 200 moving average. Let's just leave the 200 moving average on there on its own and see at what time frame do we actually stop being above the 200 moving average. This has got more point to it than simply just by the way, cheerio K-Doc, it's good to have you here. I'll see you next time there. And do you think the waves will ever return to the all-time high of $16? I don't know. See, I was wondering about that with regards to the price history on this one. It would be interesting to see that. Maybe I should have looked at a different chart. We can do that next time maybe, or I'll take a look at it in a minute, but I'm doing this at the moment, right? The 200 moving average, you were probably talking about it on the daily. Let's go up the way first, right, and just kind of see how this has been performing. The 2-day, of course, we're above that there. What about the 3-day? Don't have much price action, price history for us. We are above the 3-day period moving average on the 200 as well, though. That's, of course, you know, that's good to see, and that's kind of to be expected, right? What about when we go down the way and things start to get questioned quite quickly? On the 12-hour time frame, you see that this is operating, if you like, as support for us again and again, and this has actually been a lovely one. And maybe in a way this is what you were referring to when you said that you're loving or you're liking waves above the 200 MA. So am I at this point. Seeing this, I'm thinking I'm liking waves above the 200 moving average here on the 12-hour time frame. Of course, that's analogous or literally the same as saying that you love it above the 100 period on the daily time frame, which I'll just demonstrate for you real quick. You can see here all those points of contact coming back into play again. But let's just take a look down towards where we might want to actually have the 200 and the 50 on again as well for the 4-hour time frame on this one. By the way, maybe I should have done this a bit quicker, by the way. I wonder. Wonder. Nice to see you, by the way, Lulu. I hope you do choose to subscribe and all that and come back again. It'll be great to have you on the show some other time as well. It was lovely to see you today. I'll mention you in the reverse roll call later on. Yeah, so here we are in the 24-hour time frame. You can see that we're below the 50 period moving average there, and we're asking questions of it currently. Will we be able to push above it? That's going to be a key for us in the near term future. As you can see, you know, moving above that is like when we were over in this period back at the 382 previously, doing the same sort of idea here. You know, finding the structure, finding support. You know, putting in a overall this sort of, you've got this shoulder head shoulder, if you like, shoulder head shoulder sort of format. So you know, you've got this here on the go. So do we have the same sort of idea? Can we break past the sort of neckline and then move towards the top side? And we absolutely could, you know, overall. But first off, look at that. That's where the 50 is, and we want to see us being able to push above that. Going down the way, we can see that we are above it on the 4-hour time frame. No, we're just below it on the 4-hour time frame, having just had a golden cross here. We're going to give these a couple more tests, it looks like, in the next wee while, or indeed, you know, if we find support, we find support. That's great. But we've been going in and around about those zones. Now, in terms of the 1-hour time frame, we're just getting back to having a cross on these just now. Whoops, just now. on here for us. So we're just seeing this with the potential to give us a good move again towards the top side if this were to get a retest and a successful push on past it. Right now, of course, this has the potential to actually simply kiss the 200 and run away towards the downside, and that would be concerning for us. So, you know, that doesn't look great as yet. The price action being below it is obviously not ideal, but it does give it the ideal position, and that to push past that brings into play $7 as being a key area for us in terms of just the real near-term future and round numbers and everything else. I'm going to put a horizontal line in there, zooming back out the way. The how does that perform? We had this sort of V here as well, finding us as support and resistance in around about that area. A bit of inflection on the market there as well, with a wick touch in it. That's a fair enough area. $7 is key for me at the moment. Going up towards a more reasonable time frame then, and drawing in perspective for this move that we, you know, the move against the retracement that we've just experienced. Where does that line up with regards to higher up targets? And of course they come in there at the 1618 coming in there at $14.11. Let's just put this into context, by the way, because we already used the downside context of the past to talk about the upside, and the 3 upside targets here on this one, by the way, recently with the, well, just talk about the one, in fact, because it's enough lines on here already. The 1618 was in there at $8.25 or thereabouts. So as you can see here, with the high having been in there about 9:30, but the inflection points here and that in around about the 850 area, this is, you know, looking towards the future. If history repeats itself and we're doing the same sort of thing, then $14 becomes your next area, and that of course is insane in terms of profits, you know, in terms of it being over 100% move towards the top side, and that would be putting you in place to try at that $16 area. So if you did go towards the next zone up thereafter, you're talking $21.30. You know, is it possible to do it then? To answer sort of K King's question that came in during it, I would say it is, but we're going to need to obviously see the markets continue to operate in the way that they have been recently, in terms of, you know, the trend being our friend and continuing towards the top side. In with regards to this recent move, though, there are words of caution to be had. We did experience bearish divergence at those highs across the board on all of my oscillators here. This looks very much like a sort of crazy acid disco, but there you have it. That's what we had recently. Now they did I could obviously bring them up full screen, but I don't think you need to see it for yourself. You can just sort of take my assessment of it for you. But what we did actually see recently with regards to this V-shaped recovery low there on the 22nd of January is that we had this on the go here, and of course this is hidden bullish divergence, and that bodes well for continuation. So let's just hope that we are able to take out these targets. It is absolutely reasonable then to actually look towards your previous levels for the major targets to be had in the meantime. And I've got to say $8.22 is a greedy enough target away from where we are right now, in at around about the $6.20 area, because you're talking about a 20% move towards the top side there in and of itself. So, you know, trying not to be greedy on this one is probably going to be a bit difficult for you. How can you do that? Well, trailing stops, managing your stop losses, stuff like that, as a way of sort of staying in a kind of capture the trend. Looking towards the 236. I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, but those are the things that will help you with regards to trading this one. Now, forgive me, everybody, including whoever it was that mentioned Davi earlier on. Let's just put this into a brief video for us, shall we? And let's do it with by saying where we need to stay above, then our next targets, drag that Fibonacci retracement down the way and say that that's where our previous one was, or something like that, and looked and speculative about things. So let's do it. Let's use the chat that K King had to start it off with, combined with what Michael John Scott said, and let's do it together. Thanks so much, by the way, for suggesting this during this show, and for, of course, donating to the channel and keeping the lights on around here. You know how it is. I'm just going to remove those lines there. They are, of course, me mentioning the head and shoulders thing, so maybe I should keep them on for the 1 hour time frame. Yeah, I'll keep them on for the 1 hour time frame, whatever, the lower time frames, so that it's kind of visible. Right, cool, nice one. So let's do this then. Let's do this. do this. So if you've ever wondered, whenever I was filming my episodes before, when I said that they were filmed live and all the rest of it, and I wanted to give people the security, if you like, to know that they could do their own TA at home, was I being legit? Well, I was. Hello my friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. I'm just taking a minute out of the live video to take a look at waves with you. I'm going to make this a video that stands on its own. Thanks so much for joining me. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Let's take a look at the waves chart together. This is of course waves USDT. Thank you for joining me to take a look at it. And what we're loving at the minute about the chart, as mentioned by an outcroptician in the live show today, is the action it's had above the 200 simple moving average, and that is very, very good to see. And we're going to be asking a broader question: will this chart ever so there you go. Right? So you might be wondering if I ever did them live. and I did, and I do, but I'm going to start that one again. Right, I'm going to start that one again because it wasn't so great. Okay, right. The BTC ticker stuck again, is it? Ah, you're joking me. Right, well, it's good to have noticed that. I'll take a look at the chart for that in just a sec. Let me just find the gosh darn ticker. Where's the guard? Because I need to have so many different tabs open. There, refresh, you bollocks, you. See, I'm on it now. Right, it's refreshing. Great. Going back to the thingy. Yeah, so of course, you know, I just didn't like the way that one was panning out. Where's my chart gone though? Is this it? No. Tabs. It's Tab City over here, ladies and gents. Tab City. Is this it? This is it. Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking a moment out of your day to join me to take a look at the Waves USDT chart together. I'm going to be looking at some targets towards the top side. I think there's exciting stuff to be had here for us if we are willing to be patient and manage our risk accordingly. What are those key areas to be aware of, and what are our targets? Let's discover all that and more right now. My name's Rocky Outcrop. Thanks for joining me. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and come back and take a look at the show during a live stream sometime so we can interact together. We've been talking about this in the live stream. Michael John Scott said he's loving seeing the prices be above the 200 period moving average, and I agree. It is a fantastic thing to see, and we'll be looking at that in a bit more detail in just a second in this brief TA video, and asking the question as proposed by K King: can we actually take out the all-time highs at $16 again on this coin? Is it possible? Well, there's a couple of routes to that area and we'll be discussing them right now. First off though, can we maintain price action above this 200 simple moving average on the lower time frames? Coming in here at the 12 hours, this has been dictating the price action for us in terms of our lows since back there in July 2020, and right now we're back there testing that again. Staying above this is going to be key for us. Now as well, in terms of the moving averages, if we can actually manage to maintain not only price action above the 200 period moving average, but the 50 here on the 12 hours, and indeed on the lower ones, having just recently had a golden cross on the 4 hours here, as you can see, and on the 1 hours we're coming in here just giving it a kiss. Can we actually cross and move towards the top side and follow that all the way up to join in with these higher time frame golden crosses that we've had, such as on the 24-hour time frame, which has been golden cross for such a long time, and here on the 12 hours? Can we do it? Because if we cannot stay above the 50 period, then we'd be looking at having a death cross on here in the near future. All these things would get tested again and again in and around about these zones. And how can we be saying stuff like that? How can we say that these things would get tested again and again? Well, if you allow me to just hide these moving averages for just a second and bring the drawings back up onto the charts, there is a key area here as diagnosed by this 236 Fibonacci retracement point at 480. That's where we really need to stay up above right now in order to look towards those higher targets. but it is possible. As we saw in the past, when we came down to the 382 as it was then and put in an inverted head and shoulders, are we doing the same sort of structure here with a potential shoulder, head and shoulder with a measured move off the back of this one taking us up past our previous highs? Is that possible? Well, so long as we stay above the 236 for now at 480s, it certainly is possible. Drawing this Fibonacci retracement tool in here, forgive me, drawing in a Fibonacci retracement from this high that we had, the last high down to the last low with that inverted head and shoulders. This of course creates a lot of noise in the chart, but I can point out briefly that we came in here for the 1618 very nicely, and in fact that's where we saw our most recent inflection in the market at our recent high. What if we were to do something similar? How would that look for us coming in from that recent high down to this area, which is the 236? Of course that brings in a target in there at $14. We're getting a lot closer to, of course, Kevin's question of can we take out that all-time high again in there at that 1618 Fibonacci retracement point. It is possible to do so, and similar structure to what we saw last time, could even see that being challenged in and around about that period in time. However, if we were to actually go beyond that to the next reasonable Fibonacci retracement point, we see that comes in at $22, very much above that target. Now let's be real about things. The key area for us in terms of the shorter term time frame is $7. If we can take out 7, there's a solid 30% potential move just towards our previous highs. You don't need to be greedy when trading this one. When you're managing your risk, think accordingly. If we're going down below that area, it's a 30% drop off towards where we would necessarily see the next key structural point in the market. This one, of course, giving you all that volatility that you would love to see if you're in a parabolic market. Well, let me just remind folk that that is very much the case on the linear charts here, as you can see with this extreme movement towards the top side on the broader point of view. If we were to actually break this overall, then you could see, you know, breaking past the parabolic trend, that you could see movements down towards areas such as 378, but you can even see movements down as low as the 786, but actually as well an 80% retracement in the prices coming in at around about where you maybe would see that 886 on the charts. If I just make that visible for me here, we could even see lows down there at 155. That's the warning for you, and the key to trading this comes in at around about those zones. Anyway, if you liked what you saw today here and you thought there was some value for it, I'd really appreciate it if you shared this video with your friends. And remember, a friend of yours is a friend of mine. I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is the Rocky Outcrop community that's just chatting away in the background of this live video. I really appreciate you tuning in to watch this one with us now. I hope I see you in a live stream one day as well. Thanks very much. See you again. Now I need to bring up my Streamlabsy thing again there. How's everybody doing there, by the way, in the world? How are you doing in the world there? Everybody all good? I think these episodes are going quite smoothly. I mean, I think there's a lot of value in them. I don't know, and I think it's kind of cool doing it live. Let me know what y'all are thinking. Let me try and get the chat up as well here so I don't miss out on all the great stuff that people are saying here in the chat. Good, I'm not missing out on too much. That's excellent. Of course there is fantastic chat in there. Demo, yeah, good to see you, Spidey Monkey. That's great. All-time high was waves, January 2018, says K-King. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, of course, the Binance chart doesn't go back as far as that. Before we dive on off of this, of course, I filmed the episode for this one in terms of waves, but just for completeness for our pal Michael John Scott, let me bring up one of these older charts for us. Oh, God. Oh, one of the ones like Hotbit or whatever. Will be hit BTC. That's probably got history for us, so let's just go for a weekly time view. No, wait, what? That's the wrong chart. The wrong. OKX, do you reckon it was on that one? What would have been the one with its most history? Kraken's best for waves. Thank you so much, TradeSpawn. Kraken, where are you? Oh, because it's USD, not USDT. Great. Okay. Oh, don't have the history here either. Is it my chart not loading? Oh, whatever. Moving on. Moving on. Bright eyes. I got Roger's private keys. Just waiting for him to pay me for them. Lol, says K King. Well, that's cool. It's good to know that somebody's got Roger Ver's balls over the barbecue. What are we looking for here? Ave Maria. Wait, was it the chart? What chart did I look at it at the other day though? Because I want to have the same one. Ugh. Ave. And then I'm tuning out, by the way, folks. Unless somebody wants me to do something else, in which case, donate. Hate to be harsh about things or whatever, you know. What was I saying back then? Bearish divergence doing all-time highs. It is just a warning sign. A sign which turns into a mad screaming, blaring, siren, noisy screaming. How can you miss it when you go below the 236, for example? Blah, blah, blah. Fantastic. I told everybody about the divergence at the time in the bull market as being something to not worry about too much on this one, and as we can see here, we managed to find the support we needed to find. Oh, I don't need to remove all that old stuff. Just come on down, Rocky, towards a reasonable time frame thing for us. Look at that. Oh, we retested our parallel channel thing as well, so we actually found the sort of the key inflection points in the market fairly easily. I mean, looking over towards where our previous high was, that's how that happened. It wasn't like I used any sort of special hidden secrets for it. And so far we're doing very, very well, but we've had this as a key move for us, so we can measure between it in terms of where we are now. And then obviously as well, I say obviously quite a bit when I'm talking about these things, but obviously we're below the 236 there. I think that was probably fairly clear from that move. At this point it really becomes, you know, what would be the most reasonable actual starting point for this thing, and as you can see, it's essentially been in an upward trend its entire life, and that's a reasonable enough way to do it as well. We were below the 236, but as long as we stay above this 225 point at this stage, you know, then we're still above the 236 from the big grand scheme of things, the grand old scheme of things, York. So that's fantastic to see. What else do we want to look at here with regards to this one? Well, we had targets towards the top side. This kind of just gives us a bit of context for everything we've discussed previously in the show. We've come up and hit the 2.24. So, like, you know, when we're talking about waves there, and we're talking about could we go up to the 1618, could we go up to the 2.24, etc, etc. Well, you can see that in action just over there. So where did we see the prices go just following that? Well, back down below the 1618 again, etc. You know, big shifts in the market because of these things, and that's drawn between the high, by the way, on the 21st of January and the low on the 24th of January. So that's the same point then that you would draw in that Fibonacci. If I just drag this off to the side a bit, so that's looking at the targets up above in terms of looking at where we've come from and where we're going and how we're below this 236. That's your sort of counter and opposite Fibonacci, you know. And you can't have your cake and eat it necessarily all of the time with regards to these things. You know, you've got to, if you're above one, then you're going to be, you know, obviously if you can sort of dismiss this sort of idea by saying, well, it fails most of the time, and of course it does, but if you've got equal opposite ones, then something's got to give, right? And then, yeah, we're down at 382 at the minute, so it's the same sort of chat again with regards to what we're looking at with was it waves just there now with the head and shoulders and stuff like that? It's funny how quickly I forget what I was looking at beforehand. Of course, I'd see the chart and I'd remember. Yeah, so same sort of chat, you know, can we find support here? We're below that key area of that blue line that we were looking at as well, so that's not great to be below. Was that where the 236 lines up with? No, it's between that. I don't really know. I mean, what do we want to look at? We've not got across on the no sure thing indicator, so that's good. We're still on the upward trend. This is a daily time frame. We've had bearish divergence here again. There's this is what we often see before head and shoulders in the actual chart, is a head and shoulders on the RSI. So there's something for us to be aware of. We did actually make it into the bullish control zone as well for a wee point during that, or sorry, the past the bullish control zone into the overbought territory. What we're also seeing is having pushed down past and then failed to supersede on the second attempt here, the ADX at the 40 region, where we're so often have turned around in the past as well. For instance, over here, now we did see the prices actually still trend up the way, so the end of the trend not necessarily, but we could have something happen for us in the near term future. In terms of this, then trying to make it look more like the potential for head and shoulders, where would we see that happening at? I mean, it's really just talking about breaking the structure here. It's not about the head and shoulders. That's what that RSI is kind of saying to you. Is like the RSI, the head and shoulders on the RSI is saying that you break this, you're breaking parabolic structure, and we'd be at least looking towards a 618 or an 886 Fibonacci retracement, probably between these 2 points here. Or even even potentially an 80% retracement in price overall, but you'd be looking at coming down towards $61, $70, and that's reasonable to think, you know, in terms of how we saw the price history of this thing. We did spend an awfully long period of time between, you know, this is up at $80, so, you know, over there to over there, you're talking about that's 121 bars. Is this psychology would have been thinking that $80, $80 is a big high for us, oh, we're just there, oh, we're miles away from it, oh, we're just up there, whatever. We spent a long time at that period, a few months. So is it possible for us to do that again? This is a 12-hour time frame, by the way, for people. Is it possible for us to go back down there and retest it? Well, it sure is, but again, you know, it's a question of like that whole rising tide, all boats scenario. Yeah, that's where we're at with Avi. I mean, I could do. I did the technical. I don't need to do any more on this. Pretty sure. How's everybody doing? Y'all doing all right? I hope you're all doing good. I'm gonna work towards tuning out at the minute. I want to say to everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I want to say to everybody, if you haven't hit the like button yet, to go ahead and do that. Michael, John, Scott, John, mate, was that good, that TA, by the way? Was that what, did you get your money's worth? I want to know. I mean, I know you got your money's worth, right? And all that. I just want to ask for complete, you know, for to make sure that nobody's ever feels like they didn't get their particular itch scratched, you know. Maybe I should have looked more at the oscillators or something with it. I don't know, whatever. Must have been hacked or something. Bitcoin screwed, is it? Oh yeah, it is screwed. I see it's at 32,844. Let's dive on over to our friend Bitcoins. Bitcoin. I mean, like, you know, sometimes you just have to be clear about things to yourself when you're looking at charts and not get too carried away. 12-hour time frame, that looks very much toppy. What have we seen so far throughout the 12-hour time frames on this trend? Times it looked like that? Yes. When was the last notable one? This trend. I've just kind of included everything since, you know, in terms of the upward trend since the low in 2018, essentially. But anyway, the last time we saw it was over here in July. Was anything that looked remotely similar to it? That's obviously fairly extreme. Let's stick it on log. Hit the auto button. That's what that looks like there. When was the last time we saw anything like this recently? Well, over here, but we didn't take out our structural points. Over here, but we didn't take out our structural points. And then over here, and this is what I was really wanting to get at when I said July. I was really before it, when I was 2 minutes ago, second ago. This is the actual summer period I wanted to find on the chart here. You know, this is what you'd be hoping for kind of at this stage here, that we had this high, we had a low. This low was lower than our previous low, but we kind of sideways out in the end and managed to push on up the way. If you're interested in the TA around about all these zones, then go out, by all means go back and look at my videos from then. You can skip into it and get an impression in the way that you know, it's historical and it's educational. Another time we did it was potentially in this zone here where we got this low, but that wasn't really an actual low, you know. Over here, this is much more significant than what we've seen previously. So we have to acknowledge it, you know. But we haven't gone below this red line, which is super important. And it is super important. Equally, we haven't gone above this green line, and that's super important. Now the green line is a lot closer. I mean, we got a lot of shit up above the green line. that we could go to, and that's fantastic. You know, lots of good opportunity there, percentage points galore for everybody. Take them and share them with your mates. But as you can see, the wick of today's price action operating between these two levels, you know, this is really all it is. It's like this, this, this. Those are the key areas for us at the minute. This is the pattern that we've got at the minute. Bearing in mind that we've had that area there as well as a key inflection, you know, this stuff, and that ties in with that red line. We've not taken that out quite yet, and if we were to have retracement points and whatever else on here, there's tons of stuff like the moving averages. I mean, for instance, the moving averages, which I've not looked at on Bitcoin actually in great detail for a wee while, but it's the same as, look, there we go, you know, supported by the 50, supported by the 50, supported by the 50, not supported by the 50. You know, when was the last time, during this upward trend? This is the 12-hour time frame again, just a reminder to people I'm looking at. There's plenty of different ways you could look at this. This is just one example. When was the last time we weren't supported by the 50? Really, it was over here in September, when we did see a big drop off in the prices. Now, we did maintain structure thanks to the BART that led us up there in the first place, but obviously we broke the low here, you know, when the price action was like this and it was all new to us. The price action was all new to us here, and we were like going, oh look, you know, this isn't so great, we're below that area, oh, we failed there, blah blah blah. Then this became the point at which you could look back the way, and you know, we're doing the same sort of thing. This is the next low after that. Break that one, then you've done it for a while. And we've been saying, I mean, essentially this is a downward trend, right? This is what this is. You've got a high, a higher, a low, a lower high, a lower low, and any point until you've taken out your previous point of structure is a lower low, a lower high. So as long as we're below that yellow serrated line, it's a lower high, you know? That's what we've got on the go with Bitcoin at the minute, is the downward trend until it isn't on this, from this perspective right now. There's also an upward trend until such times as it isn't. But the time that it isn't is when it goes below this red line and closes. And then you're changing things from, you know, structurally, we put in a high, we've put in higher, lower lows, blah, 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 blah. We've also taken out a previous inflection point in terms of our structure, which is really crucial for us. So these ones which you could dismiss as being just along the way, sure, perhaps, right? So that's when things change. From that point of view, from, say, the 2-day point of view, right? So, like, high-dollar drawings. So from the 2-day point of view, that's when that changes, as you can see over here. Until this is just, you know, along the way, potential for this to play out with a bullish outcome, as all of the patterns have done for the last 10 months, 11 months. So like that's what we're looking at right now. And you can't deny it, right? So then if you were to take out these price points, you know, of the 30,000 area and whatnot, then you're looking down the way, and that's what we're looking at. So what do we need to see happen in terms of the overall crypto sphere? What do we want to see happen in terms of overall crypto sphere? Well, what you want to see happen is this to continue, right? There's obviously much more positive looking chart, which is an uptrend. It's an uptrend. In the same way that I was saying 2 seconds ago, it's a downtrend. Well, it's an uptrend with Ethereum. That's what you want to see, and that's why I said as the title to the video 2 days ago that we might see Ethereum lead in alt season. That's what that looks like at the minute. We can put that into greater context by bringing up other charts of note. For instance, the Bitcoin dominance chart. We filled out that gap immediately, you know, upon making it, but we filled it out again. And are we gonna push on past that? It's a clear structural area for us, clear important note. Meanwhile, over here, the total market cap doesn't look as bearish as Bitcoin does, right? It doesn't look as bearish as Bitcoin does in that sense. It looks as bullish as Bitcoin does from the broader sense, okay? So it looks equally as bullish as Bitcoin does from the broader sense. From the real right now sense, not quite as bearish. Ethereum looks much more bullish in the here and now, and Bitcoin looks like that. That's where we are right now, and that's what you want to see for making money, probably, and trading. Maybe not so much for some other reasons. But then again, you know, we've not broken anything. This retrospectively becomes the best buy point you could have had. Like how we're here, like, oh, scary times, best buy point. Oh, scary times, best buy point, best buy point. Subsequently, you know, oh, scary times, best buy point. It was scary times too. That was particularly good point for that one. Scary times. Below the 50, etc., etc. Miles away from the 50 here in the 2-day time frame, 24-hour time frame. Not miles away from it down here. You know, we went below it. If we go below it, could see things happening. Percentage wise, from the tops down to where we are, have come down to. It's a big move, 30%. We see these a lot during bull trends. That's what we've had. We've had the 30% move now. We've been talking about wanting one for a long time. So that's your most bullish thing. And how does that make sense? Well, it makes sense perfectly because you know, in terms of saying that's bullish, because in the 3-day time frame, the weekly time frame, you know, all that, what is that? That's like, what is that? That's an incredibly bullish chart. It's incredibly bullish, and that's where we are. So the story evolves back out to towards that, going towards the top side, if we can see the renewed vigor, overall sustained vigor in the overall crypto sphere, the overall industry as a whole. If we see the pullback a little bit in the minute in Bitcoin even further, that's okay. That's totally fine. But that's cool. Tradespot says that was great, TA. Avi's done the best part of the big move, in my opinion. That's cool. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's what we did on the channel at the time. Tradespot, you're totally right. That was the best part of the move. You know that we got that. Now there could be other ones, but that's fine. My alert was 10 minutes after the live stream started. Weird. Same, says Zoner. Weird stuff. That, so maybe what I'll do next time is run one of those screens. I've got one that's kind of like, you know, that has the countdown timer or something like that. Could start a Telegram group just for video starts. I'd be more forgetful than YouTube at doing it, likely. Sentence. Words and such. Orders of words and such. Could start a Telegram group just for video alerts. I'd be more forgetful than YouTube at doing it, likely. That's how they spoke in Cornwall back in the day. Anyway, yeah, you're right. I'd be the same. I could get a sort of automated thing. I'm sure there's Telegram bots to do that sort of stuff as well, and all that sort of thing. I mean, that's partly what the Discord is for as well. And that's cool. So we're now at the point where I'm going to do my reverse roll call. Does anybody know how long this stream's lasted for so far? I should probably check it myself. Let me just check this, see how long this stream's lasted. We've been on for 1 hour and 40 minutes. That's cool. Nice one. I'm just gonna do the reverse roll call and tune out. Anybody wants me to take a look at another coin or anything, it's donation time. Otherwise I need to go have a drink and whatnot. Cool. Thanks very much for everybody tuning in. I'm going to start with Tradespotting, the man with the spanner. He's a very, very, very good guy. And of course, my brother, I think he's fantastic. And I really do highly recommend you check out his videos as well, if you haven't already. I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir. A lot of you will have, but you should, right? Looking back up the way, we also have Zoner, we have John. Thank you so much to you guys for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. We've got K King, Kevin, my friend. He is the king of Kevins, or is he? I'm sure K-Doc would dispute that, who was also tuned in earlier on but had to leave. He's called Kevin as well, and I need to figure out as well if Who Let the Bulls Out is called Kevin. You might be your name, or it might not be. I'm not sure what your real name is. Anyway, Who Let the Bulls Out also warrants a spot on this reverse roll call. He was with us earlier on as well. So I'll just scroll on up and make sure I've caught everybody. Demo, hey peeps, you said earlier on. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate you being here for it. Lulu Eel, a new member in the community here, which is cool. So, you know, good to have you. I hope you tune back in again. So as like I said, I'll give you a shout out during it. And then during the reversal call, and then Anna Rajewska, fantastic, beautiful, wonderful lady. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate you being here as well. It's nice to see Tradespot and giving you a wee shooting star thing as well. That's nice. Hi Anna, says Zoner. That's quality. That's lovely. Kava was good while it lasted. Laughed my ass off, says Navanethan. Sounds like my old girlfriend. Yeah, Navanethan, great guys. Whatever. Really looking forward to the hats arriving. Going to be wearing my old hat when it arrives. J Johnny, good to have you here. J Johnny. Ethereum going back to 1,200. Bleh, he says. Well, I wonder. Marsan, it could do. We talked about it during the show. Marsan, good to have you here as well. Polish friend, as it's always good to have you here. Just like that's actually 2 Polish people tuned into this episode. Statistically, that's got to be significant. And we also had, who else did we have here? I'm sure we had other people that were new. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of other noobs here. Lewis, good evening. Thank you for tuning in, Lewis, as well. We also, Patrick Pellegrino, good to have you here. Video Consel, yes, he came. He asked for a coin and then never heard from him again. Hope he's still part of the chat here, at least tunes in to watch it later on and he isn't just one of those ghosting people. 3000 Trin, it's always good to have you here as well. Who let the bulls out? I said your name earlier on, but I'll say it again because you're a great guy. Wiction Phil, hi. You said hi, I'll say hi back. We had Gank L, we had Block Bake Studios. They're good guys as well. We had various good people here. If I've missed you out, then I apologise. Zoning back down to the end. Thanks for the TA, Rocky Outcrop, you legend, says Zoner. Gank L comes in here at the end to say bye all. You were here earlier on and all that, I'm sure too. So thank you so much. That's it. Once again, another episode. Somebody did say the other day in the comments to the show, and I'll put up the credits actually here. Somebody did say in the comments to the show the other day how it would be good to be able to make these things more exciting. I know he was just bitching and all the rest of it and wasn't really just, wasn't actually trying to have a go. But it is hard, right? I do put in a lot of effort into these shows. As you know, I've now been talking for nearly 2 hours straight. I don't actually, I do say, I have of late, I've been tired and I've been saying a couple more times than I usually do. Whatever. I do tend to do, I think what's a fairly decent show, and I would really love it if you then chose to share those videos with your friend. Really, really would. And it takes a lot of effort. Yeah, I'm going to be glad to have a wee rest here after this. Yeah. So I'll try and stop saying so much. I'll try and make them more exciting. See what we can do on that front. Going on over to the... Oh, would you look at UTK Trust, Rocky? Lots of hype on that token. Whoa. Whoa! You let's just bring it up for a split second, right? Let's just bring it up for a split second. Yeah, bollocks face, yeah. UTK, let's see. UTK, USD, U Trust. Right, okay. It's probably the same one there. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. It's all good. Above the 50. Not enough time, not enough price action history for it to be on the 12 hour. This is obviously very, very new. Go the 4 hour though. See that we are ensure that we are in, of course, golden cross conditions as I would expect. Still above the 50 as well. 21.39 key area, starting to look like a key area for us at the minute in terms of this. Just mark that off just for now as we look at different time frames. Bum 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 bum. This is obviously very, very new on this exchange, in fact. So let me just go to one of these other ones, just because we might have, yes, a lot more price action history, a lot better. Right, okay, cool, this is better. Let's see our actual lows then, down here up to our actual highs. Cool. Previous to that, we actually did go down below it, but sustained price above the 200, so that's how that worked on the daily. Here we did this. So this is an interesting one. Again, having moved up very, very well. What's the likelihood of these things coming into play? It's a cup with handle potential for us. Yeah, there's the potential for us here with a cup with handle. How did this pan out then? 50% here. Yep, we've met that. Okay, so let's try and do this. Let's try and do that. So I am going to tune out in a sec. Sorry, I've not been speaking as much because I wanted to make it quicker to do this overall. I'm going to do this in such a way that it can be used as one of those wee clips as well. Kevin, I hope you don't mind too much on that front. So let me just draw in a couple of, another sort of quick one here. So that to there, and I'll just hide some of these numbers so that this is easier for folk to see when it comes to the crunch. Don't feel too bad about being sort of quiet during this period because of the old end of show nature of this thing. Okay, that'll... No, they need to be darker. Diddle 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 dim. Bam 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 bam. Hi friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. Let's take a look at UTrust token as suggested by one of the outcropticians during this live video that I'm making. I'm actually taking a second out from it to make this clip and publish it separately, so I hope you do join me one day for a live video. Let's take a look at the charts together. If you hit that like and subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. This is UTKUSD on the 24-hour time frame, and there's a few lines up above the price action, and those are actually our current upside targets. And there's another thing that we look at here in terms of patterns to really put this all into context for us. At the minute, we've got 3 upside targets in terms of the three closest ones, and then one that's a little bit further away. We'll discuss all of those in just a second when we've laid some groundwork for us here. In terms of the 24-hour time frame, very much in a golden cross position here, and that has been sustained throughout the listing on the Binance exchange, which is wonderful to see. Having had a retracement back down to the 200 simple and then finding support there, coming in almost crossing but not actually achieving that on the 24-hour time frame. If I jump down though, you can see of course in the 12-hour that we had some crosses here, all retested and so on, and then of course we've moved towards the top side here so far, respecting the 50 simple period moving average. The 4-hour time frame shows a similar story where we're actually above the 50 right now. If we can maintain that and above the 200, things look fairly rosy. That's kind of speaking to the trend. The trend is of course towards the top side, and that remains in place on the lower time frames as well, having had a retracement recently which has been recovered from so far, which is really good to see after having had this big move towards the top side. So what do we have here? Of course being this move up the way and then followed by a move down which has come back up, which has then resulted in a peak here and a second peak here, and then following the peaks a little retracement. What is that known as in the world of patterns? And that's known as a cup with handle. If I just actually hide this off again and zoom in a wee bit so you can see what I was talking about in terms of the twin peaks, etc. We have a peak over here and a peak over here. Then we have a retracement down the way. This retracement came back down 50% of the depth from this low during the cup period up towards the lip over here, and then we have a slight, if not perfect, but at least a slight concave nature to the volume profile down below, leading in with this drop off during this phase and the shakeout phase with the handle section over here. So that all ties together fairly well, coming in for the sort of triple top area, giving you the potential for a measured move. Now let's just draw the measured move in, and where I'll be drawing it from of course is the low of the cup up towards the rim here. Let's just take it from there to there and then pop this in at of course the breakout point. This is the logarithmic chart, which is why you'll see this measured move stretch and then shrink down the way. Popping this in here at the point at which we might consider the breakout to be maybe being initiated, then up towards the higher target that comes in and takes out the first 2 of those lower profit taken targets for us. So there we have our where and our how we get there. That's the roadmap for us if we see this play out, and it could be very, very excellent in terms of percentage points. We'll talk about the percentages just at the end of the show here in a couple of seconds after I point out the absolute dollar values of these targets towards the top side. First off, of course, our previous high in there at 0.269, let's call it 27, breaking past there could go into a move up towards 34 cents. The next area after that being 40 cents, and the next area after that being 50 cents. Very, very, very nice moves indeed. And if you know anything about the relationship between the numbers 30, 40 and 50, then it won't be too hard to work out the percentage points that we're talking in terms of moves past the breakout point here. Just going up towards the 1272 Fibonacci retracement at that 35 area is a 30% increase in price, nearly 28%, let's call it. Moving up towards the 1414, that's a 53% price move up, and then a nearly 100%, 94% move up towards the 1618 if we were to do that. Now, of course, we wouldn't necessarily get there in one clean swoop. It is worth bearing in mind that all of these areas are, of course, potential pullback zones, and that we're not actually even past the point where the breakout could have been said to have happened yet. Just then, to do a little bit of risk management perspective for us here, if we were to see the price action drop below some areas, then where could we see them going? Let's just pop a number or two onto the chart for us here. For instance, if we go past the 236 Fibonacci retracement point, there is a good chance that we could go down towards the 618. So if we see the prices dropping down below 20, there is a good chance that we see the prices actually going down as far as 13 or 12.8 cents there. Let's see if we're able to maintain the structure of all the things we've talked about so far. So like I say, my name's Rocky Outcrop. I'm just doing this episode here for you, part of the live show, the audience kind of waiting along there in the background, and I hope you do tune in for one of those one day. The easiest way to find out about them, of course, is to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Drop me a like if you feel there's value in this video. It'll help me know to keep making more of the same. Thanks so much. I'll see you in one of the Rocky Outcrop shows. How did you think of that? Did you like that one? So anyway, I think that's fully comprehensive. Of course, I am going to get back to the reverse roll call. You know, you said that actually after I'd finished the reverse roll call and I scrolled all the way down to the end there. So in fact, I think I don't even need to do another reverse roll call. There's been no new comments in there. I mean, there's been new comments, but there's been no new faces to be mentioned. So just jumping over to the final scene here, and I'll bring up the Bitcoin chart as I kind of just discuss the let's leave on the nice colorful one here. Pop that full screen for just now. In fact, kind of move the whatever. So just leave that just for now. Right, cool. Okay, so there's our 15-minute chart. I'll zoom on a wee bit here so it's zoomed in if it would let me. My screen, my thing's just a crosshair on my screen and it won't let me zoom in anymore. That's cool. Things have maybe crashed on my computer, but that's fine. If I can bring up the credits, then there will be a mention for somebody on the credits. That's quality to have these things as I say the final goodbye. Hitting the roll credits button here. So remember, you can help support the channel if you like seeing what you're seeing and you want to see it long term. You don't want me to just fade away into the history and become another person that as a used to be YouTuber. If you just kidding, I'm fully committed. However, if you do want to help support the channel and keep me motivated at 100% all the time, you can do so through patreon.com/rockyoutcrop. That is, of course, massively appreciated, just as is the super chat that's donated by John earlier on during the live show. Thank you so much for watching. If you share this with your friends, of course, that's worth 1,000 donations too. So I really do appreciate everybody who likes to introduce me to another new member of the community. I want to say one final big thank you to everybody for tuning in, and of course point your attention towards key areas on the chart like we've already discussed and ask what your opinions are. Let me know in the comments to this video, the actual post published video. If you don't mind tuning in, leaving a comment on there or whatever, it would probably help with the YouTube algorithm. That's all from me, folks. I'm going to see you in the next show. That'll be on Wednesday evening. That's as it's currently scheduled, and I will tell you about it in the Discord and all the rest of it beforehand, of course. Final comment coming in from TradeSpawn: the very best of alts are solving complicated problems in finance and trade. It's pretty cool to hear from a young chap about a new coin that makes sense in that context. Cool, nice one.